welcome to Coffee and Connect Live with Larry and Gloria Lundstrom. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. Now, what an amazing time we had last week listening to LaDawn and LaShawn interview their parents about some incredible times on the road. We went over, and so we've actually split it up into two programs. So you get to listen to part 2 today. So please feel free to put in the comments the city and state that you are joining us from. We'd love to know who's joining us. And thank you so much for tuning in once again.
Dad and I were called to ministry. You kids were born into it.
Yes.
And so you were so gracious. I mean, it's beyond my imagination of how gracious and kind and respectful, and how you backed us up. And when we started the Larry Lundstrom Family Ministry, you and the keyboards, LaDawn on the drums, Donovan on soundboard and bass for a little bit and drum pad, and all this, and how you made it happen. Without you, it wouldn't have worked. And it was really a special time of life for us. The special time, we did a song, the last one we did in the studio here, it was almost 5 years ago.
Traveling song?
Traveling song. We did the traveling song, the story of the Lundstroms. And what a joy to be in the studio in Nashville, here where I said I never would want to live or be. And here was LaShawn on the keyboards, LaDawn on the drums, and Donovan in the control room producing. And I thought, wow, that was a dream come true.
That was a fun day.
Time. We did. So I was going to ask you a question, Mom. So as mothers, we always have, of course, an extra heaping of guilt that we always lay on ourselves of not being present enough for our kids or around enough. And I know that definitely in the late 70s, early 80s, when the Lundstroms were really busy on the road, denominations would come to our crusades, to big venues. You started to branch off, and I wanted to find out, at what point in time did you feel that okay within yourself, the yes within yourself, to move on to be an author and to be a public speaker? Because at that point in time in the ministry, we started doing seminars. So there was the marriage seminars that you would speak at. I know Carl Malswood, Lowell Connie, Dad, you'd be a part of that as well. When did you kind of get ready to branch off and start that? Because now we talked about being a newlywed, learning how to sing, and you strum guitar and play an instrument, and then you had kids. And now we're progressing after having children into being a mother, but understanding that there's more than one facet to yourself. You're more than just a mother. You're also an author, you're a speaker, you're in ministry. So tell me about that moment when you did that shift within yourself to become an author and a speaker.
Well, you make us, I like to meet that person you just talked about. She sounds pretty impressive. But you know, really, because I've been through so much in my life, God has just given me a burden for people hurting, broken homes, broken hearts, health-wise. I've been there, and I just want to be that person when somebody's hurting to say, let me take your hand, let me help you. But I never wanted, I always told you kids, and I hope you've never forgotten this, I said, I am here 100% in this ministry of Lundstrom Ministry and with the Larry Lundstrom Family Ministry. But if you kids are hurting and you have a need, I am with you. I go off the road. That becomes secondary. You are number one.
Yes, you made that very clear. Tell me about when you wrote the Set Free book, because I know you covered that on CCL. We've had a lot of really great times that you shared about that you've written a book or you started to speak. When did you come out of your shell and decide that you wanted to do that? And how did you manage raising all of us kids at the same time, being on the road and taking on that next step?
Oh my. I was going through a real bad health issue, and I was literally sent away to die. And the doctor said, there's nothing more we can do for you. And then a wellness center, I was talking to somebody from a wellness center, and they said, you know, there's this place out in North Carolina, Blue Ridge, Georgia, that they take only people that there is no hope. And they said, we suggest you go out there. So I was flown away literally to die. And when I was out there and I just said, God, you know what, if this is crazy, and I was arguing with God, and I said, God, here I am. I'm nearly dead. Everything is just falling apart. And I said, God, I've given you everything. I've done everything for you. Why? And God just really audibly spoke to my heart. He said, Gloria, you didn't do it for me. You did it for you. And I'm thinking, you think I did that for me to go through all this? And he just began to show me that I was doing so much for everybody, but that I needed to, in my life, put my life back together again. And I said, God, I said, if you can help me get my priorities put together, oh, LaShawn and LaDawn, I cannot believe you brought that picture up. And I'm not even going to forgive you for that one. And that's what my book was about. I thank you. That was when.
We'll get to that in a minute. That's
Larry is an adventure. And we were someplace, Bruce and Polly Schumann. Someplace in Minneapolis, and there was this ring, and so they said, I dare you, Gloria, get in. They never dare me to do anything. They said, I dare you get in the ring, and we're going to take a funny picture. And that's what that was. Okay. But anyway, with the book, when I was given 3 days to live, I lived a month. God being human, I ministered when I was, and within 2 weeks, I was up on my feet, walking from room to room, and I was sharing Christ. And one of them was the Warrior's father that was there, given up to die, and was able to pray with him, and he became a precious friend. And when I got out of there, I had been so bound by people. I had allowed myself to be so imprisoned by people, of trying to do what they want me to do, say what they want me to say, dress the way they want me to dress. It was just everything that was. And if people would say things, and I would take them so personal, and I would think, oh, they don't like me. And God spoke to her and said, Gloria, stop trying to please people. If you please me, I'll put everything else in place. Yeah. And I took that to heart. And when I was dismissed out of there, out in Georgia, 1 day less than a month, and I came back to the team. And they were in Wisconsin someplace. And I remember being in the room, and I said, God, I said, if you set me free, when I get back into this whole thing, because it's ministry is beautiful, but it can consume you. I mean, we had, like 40, 50 people, and you're with all this, and you're trying to find your way and keep your head screwed on, and keep your spiritual and your physical and your emotional being. And I prayed, and I said, God, if you set me free, I promise I will never allow anybody to put me back in prison again. And as I was praying, I just felt this release. I made a commitment to God that I was going to be happy. I was going to be free to minister. If anybody asked me to share, I would do that, because that would be my way of ministering out. May not be anybody else's. So that's the direction I went. And I began writing, and I'm not even a writer. I don't like to write. And one day God said, Gloria, I want you to start writing. And I said, what am I going to write? And up on a ski slope, I was sitting at the side, and I just heard the voice of God say, Gloria, share your struggles. And I started crying. I said, no. I can't share my struggles. If I share my struggles when I write, people will say, well, what kind of a God do you serve? I don't want any part of that. I wrote my first article, and I put it in the mail. I cried all night. I prayed. We were in Colorado filming. I prayed that it would get lost. It was a big blizzard. And I thought, God, just let that get lost. Don't let that article make it to the printer. Wow. It made it. And when that went out in that April, and in the next couple months, the letters poured into the ministry, to Lowell's ministry, and said, we've always appreciated you, Gloria, and we loved you, but we never felt we could identify with you, because everything, you always look so perfect. Everything is so perfectly good and happy, and you're beautiful, and da-da-da-da-da. And I just thought, God, you know what? Please. Then the people would say over and over, they said, but when you shared your struggles and how you came through them and how you're going through them, you have given us hope to go on. Yeah. So you know what, kids? I became a hope giver.
Yes.
I became a hope giver.
Yes.
Wrote the book.
That's a good point, Mom, because I think we're in an Instagram perfect world where everybody on social media, mothers feel like if they can't juggle, especially in the 2020 COVID year that we had, moms were trying to take care of their kids at home, work from home, have the perfect house, have the perfect career. And that outside pressure as a mother is very competitive. To what it appears to be. So what's your advice to mothers in a world that is so scrutinizing what you put out there on social media or how you live?
Well, I would just say this. Keep your heart pure and clean. Keep your mouth clean. Keep a lot of things to yourself. Remember and thank God that you have one mouth and two ears and not two mouths and one ear.
Yeah.
Pray that God will be so real to you that you will not be a dual person. I didn't want to be a dual person. Be one person on the stage and then one with my family. And see, the real God in me is what I am here talking with you today or on the platform or whatever. The real me is with my family. When I'm with Larry, when I'm with my kids, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, that's the real me. And more than anything, I want them to see Jesus just pour out of me. I want them to see that when we moved here, we said our home will be a home of peace. This is a refuge. Moms, you can't do it all. You cannot do it all. I was just sharing that with a young mother, two little ones yesterday out here in the street. I said, you know what? You can't do it all. You just can't do it all. And you just have to just realize what's the most important. One mother said to me a while back, she said, my home. She said, I've got all these little kids running around. She said, then I look at the magazines and pictures of their living rooms and their dinner table. Everything is so beautiful. It's so perfect. And so I looked at her and I said, tell me. I said, look at that picture again. Is there anybody in that picture? Do you see anybody in that photo? She said, never thought about it. There's nobody there. A home is a home. Yeah, I like it clean. And I used to be a perfectionist, and I like it clean. But your children come first. I would tell LaDawn, she'd be working a full-time job, single parent. And she would come and she says, oh, the house is a mess. She says, I should be home making a homemade dinner, but I don't get home until, till 6 at night or 7 at night. I said, LaDawn, you can only do what you can do. You just have to go to work, you come home, but keep your mind and make it so the table is a place of ministry. I always have believed that we need to sit around a table. The Lord's Supper, a reunion. That is, the table is a very important place, and it's a very sacred place. I told my kids since they were little, we learned the hard way. We were sitting at the table, and I'd always, dinner or disaster. I'd always say, what is dinner or disaster? And I always remember kids, we put a candle in the middle of the table when we lived in Sisseton when you were little, put a candle there. And the deal was that we never talked about the bad things of the day, or we never chewed them out. We had to kick each other in the knee a couple times. That this is no place to come down on your children. This is a place where we come together. It's a gathering place. They know that when they come to the table, it's peace and it's joy, it's love. We can talk things over.
They got to be able to ask you anything, anytime, anywhere.
Anything, yes.
And by being open, what?
Go ahead, Dad.
By being open, because you can't, raising a family can't be, don't do as I say, but it has to be do as I do. And you can tell them something, but it has to be, they have to see it in your life. And you guys are the ones that vote on that.
You've made it. You've made it.
I also wanted to talk about, we talked about having, Dad would have certain days he'd set aside just to get out of the bus and do something fun. But I'm not a mother, I don't have kids, but Mom would always try and make life on the road special for us because every day was a work day for us. So during fall, she would tape leaves on the windows of the hotel room, or We had a little tiny Christmas tree, plastic little tree with like Christmas lights up in the bus. And especially in December when we knew we were finally going to come home after the year and we could just have 2 weeks off without doing anything, we'd always have like Amy Grant Christmas music playing or Kenny Rogers Christmas, or Mom just really, you just made it really fun for us as kids because it was just, you were so anxious for Christmas or so anxious for whatever the time was, and you just had to keep us all together and collected and you know, together until we could get home. And so you just really made sure that we could still be kids but still work. Like you went out of your way to make sure that those times were special for us. So we really appreciate that.
Lots of fun memories. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun. And we do crazy things. But on the road, we play anti-eye over with a basketball or a ball, you know, because you're parked for all night, and so you're in a parking lot somewhere. What do you do? So if there was a street light, just crazy things to keep it crazy, you know.
Yeah, because you just had to have, I mean, you're stuck in a parking lot. It's 11 o'clock at night. Everybody's wide awake because it's a normal working hours.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the night off and there's just nothing to do. So, you know, you made it fun. Like, we don't have normal things to go back. We never went to normal school. We never, you know, graduated with a normal class. We didn't really have friends other than family because we were always moving from city to city. So you really made sure that we had fun times on the road as best we could for what we had. And we see that and we appreciate that because I know it was hard. I look back now and I go, wow, you're not just living, it's not just you and Dad and Dawn and I and Donovan on the bus. It's all of us plus 4 or 5 other people. Mm-hmm. And they have lives and they come from normal families and they're like, what am I getting into? And, you know, it's crazy. If you think about the life, it is really, really, you have to be called, I guess, because it's
committed, called and committed, a little bit crazy, and it all goes well.
Exactly.
We tried to make it as fun as we could. You know, let me just say this. You know, you asked me earlier, there are things maybe that we didn't realize being a parent, not living a normal life with your children, which we never had, you know, being home or having your own mailbox. What was that like, LaShawn?
Oh, listen, as a kid, I craved something that was normal. I don't know why, I just wanted something that was normal. And we had a little house on a hill. We never saw it much, but it was west of town and it had a gravel road, and behind the house was a row of mailboxes. And we were home for a couple days during the summer, and my uncle, Jake, and his wife and kids lived right down the street from us. And so I was riding my bike along that road one day, and I was going past the mailboxes, and it said Brooks on it, which is my mother's maiden name. And I was so excited. I came back to the house. So I'm like, Mom, we have a mailbox. And Mom's like, what are you talking about? I said, there's a mailbox. And she's like, where? I said, behind the house. There's a row of mailboxes that says Brooks on it. And she goes, honey, that's your uncle's mailbox. And then it was like, we don't have a mailbox. I mean, it's kind of sad when you sit there and crave you just wanted something that other people had.
Yeah.
Like a mailbox, because you have to understand, we were never in one spot for longer than a couple days.
Yeah, if you physically go out to a mailbox and bring out your own mail. Yeah. And I never realized that, and you shared it with me that you were sitting in the airport and it hit you one day. It was just like, the simple thing, I never thought, there are things that you kids never told us. There's things that we never told you. And that was one. But now I realize, because now that I'm here, do you know what one of our personal joy is? Go out to our own mailbox, even though it's mainly bills, and bring in the mail from our own mailbox with our house number on it.
I know.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
And what I love too, speaking of houses, is that because we're all here, we rotate holidays. So when we're here, everybody hosts something. So we have maybe Easter one place and Christmas the next place, or just a get together, Mother's Day, whatever it is. We all get together at everybody's houses, and it's just so much fun to just get together and
Just have fun.
yeah.
My Donovan said, Mom, we just want to relax. We just want to come and unwind. We just want to come and everybody brings food. Let's just have fun. That's what it's about.
And I think for the first time in, I don't know, 50 years, really, we're learning what it's like to be a family that lives somewhere.
Yes.
Like we never had we had the earlier part of being on a bus, but you were with everybody. It wasn't just the family. And now everybody has their own places, and to want to get together and just sit and talk. This is what we do. We just sit and talk. People are like, are you done yet? And we're like, we're still talking. I mean, it's just like we're reconnecting as adults, and it's
It's great.
really nice. And
We
so
never run out of things to talk about, do we?
we do not. Well, we're females, but we do really appreciate you taking that step to move to Nashville, because this was not something that was on your radar. This is not something you really wanted to do. I mean, Pever, Sisseton is your home. It's where your families were raised. It's where you've lived your entire life. And so when you weren't on the road, you were there. But we just thought it was so important, because if there was ever a health crisis or anything going on, you were 900 miles away. And, we all lived here. And, it took a lot of talking to even as kids to even bring it up to you to say, we never thought you would move here.
And the timing, because you were on the road about 11 months out of the year. LaDawn was in Minneapolis as she moved there, and she was, busy with her family. Donovan was on the road. So it was just, God was having to bring all these pieces together where, LaDawn would be settled again with the kids, where you would be home more, and where Donovan would be in here, get settled. And so it finally came together. And you know what? And I'm sure every parent feels that way. We didn't want to come and intrude on you when we knew that your schedules were so crazy. Yours were as crazy as ours, only in another way. And we didn't want to come and be a problem or come and be an extra job for anybody. We just wanted to, every minute we could be with, we wanted to enjoy and not be a burden to you. And I think most parents feel that.
I remember having the conversation with Dad, calling you. I was home, which I not very much. And I was home, and I said, "Where are you guys at? What are you doing?" And he said, "Well, we had a few days off, and so we're at a campground in Mississippi with our RV." And I said, "Why are you there, not here?" "Well, we didn't, we know you guys are busy, and we didn't want to intrude." And I'm like, "We're begging to see you, because we would never see you. We only see you a couple days during the holidays." And I'm like, it just really got to me that, you're trying not to invade in our lives, but yet you're not coming here. You're sitting in Mississippi because you don't want to intrude. And I'm just like, we have got to get Mom and Dad here, because it's crazy. We have the time to see you, and you're afraid of invading in our lives, and we're afraid of invading in yours. It's not as adults you start thinking about the others. As kids,
we should call before we pull.
As kids, you just invade and you don't care. You just show up. But so yeah, it's been such a wonderful blessing.
It's great because LaDawn moved here, and I know Minneapolis was her home for raising her children. So she's got her heart partly back there. And you've been here down in Tennessee, how many years?
23 years.
23 years. So we finally all have kind of gotten it. You know what we could call this? Inside edition.
Yeah,
This is good.
yeah. And now we have the grandkids here, Dante and Mayana. Well, Mayana now is living back in Minneapolis, but she was here for a long time. And we have Dante, he's here, and you know, the grandkids and the great grandkids. Tell us about that, Mom. What it's like having grandkids. And
Well, I want to ask the grandma first, LaDawn, what's it like having grandkids?
Oh, it's such a joy. It's so fun to spoil them and love on them and have your traditions with them. I've always made cookies with Taryn every Christmas. And little Nova, she's just beautiful and so sweet. I just love being a grandma, and that your heart expands in a way you cannot describe. It's just really special.
And for me, having the grandkids for us on the road, because we literally, you think back, I call it a great bridge with our grandchildren because, like I said, we had the time, but at the same time, you love teaching Dante and
Yeah.
Mayana.
Well, there's all sorts of things that we did on the road as far as the grandkids are concerned. Gloria, she was able to get a suitcase. The suitcases.
Garage sale.
Garage sale, 3/4 size suitcase. And I don't know what deal where you went someplace and she found all sorts of these gifts.
10 cents, quarter, 50 cents. I filled the suitcase full of it.
And then we would get the children together, and of course Dante, he would get 30 seconds in the suitcase to pull out one thing if he memorized a scripture verse.
Yes.
And he did. He could memorize a scripture verse faster than anybody I know. So he had 30 seconds. So he would be just like this. And he said, "You don't get to get the suitcase." I said, "Yeah, but you have 30 seconds." I thought, well, that'll go fast. I mean, he was in that case and take out a toy. And I mean, yeah, he learned lots. And so the word of God never becomes void. It's always in our hearts. And no matter all of us, you kids have learned many, many, many scripture verses. And our grandkids when they were with us, and we know what we taught them, and the word never leaves, and it's that word that's going to keep them close to God. And for us, what a joy to have them. Dante sang on stage when he was little. Now Mayana didn't want to sing. She just didn't want to sing, but she just loved being with us, and she loved to play waitress or taking orders or But here's the real tough part. I loved having Mayana with us, except for doing her hair.
Yes. That was a challenge, wasn't it, Mom?
Tell them why it was a challenge.
Well, Mayana has very, very curly hair, and we would have braids. We would put in braids to make it easy for her in the summertime when she was young. And we forgot to put the little rubber bands really tight at the ends of her braids. And so she'd ask Grandma if she could go out into the pool at a hotel that they were staying at. So Mom let her go swimming. And as she was swimming, her hair started coming unraveled from her braids. And Mom went into a panic. And I think you had almost a nervous breakdown over that one.
I did. I almost did. I mean, here we were going to set up at this church in Aberdeen, South Dakota. And I thought, well, let's just get them out of the pool and then we'll get the setup, And her hair went out to about like this. And I was trying to put a comb through it. Couldn't get a comb through it, couldn't get a brush through it. And she was going, oh, crying. And then I started to cry. And we made it. But I'll tell you what, yeah, she was always fun. She's full of energy. She's full of questions. She's very smart. Her and Dante are very smart. It didn't get it from me.
he loves Sisseton.
We'd have them come to Sisseton, and I tell them you can do whatever you want because LaDawn in the Minneapolis lived in a condo, but it was above. It was above another condo, the floor. So she'd always have to tell them, you can't play your drums, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't jump, you can't. Careful when you go down the steps. So when they come to my house, I say, you know what? You can do whatever you want.
They had so much.
Whatever you want, and you can take out every toy in the house, but before you go to bed, you will clean everything up and put everything away. And they did. They loved our house because it was like a split level, and they go from room to room. And I mean, they would get into everything. They knew
Yes.
more about that house than I did. I could say, well, I wonder where I put that flashlight, the one with the blue deal on it, tape on it. And one was say, oh, I know where's that. And I said, where? Oh, it's in the back room, in the back room, right on the corner. It's in a box. I mean, they had took inventory of everything. And they would, I'd say, you can play, you can stay up as late as you want, you can rest in the morning. And the only problem we had with Mayana was that she thought those birds sang too loud in the morning when she wanted to sleep. And Dante, he loved having the bicycle to ride. Then Mayana would chase them with these she found a couple of baby garter snakes. And she was only like about 4 years old.
Yeah.
She picked them up in the backyard. She's chasing her brother. Oh, I mean, we have lots of memories. But the great thing is I want them to always remember the word that was put in them, that the word will always take them through life if they just stay close to Jesus.
Right.
That's the greatest thrill any grandparent can have.
I was thinking about your connection with Grandma Brooks. Of course, when you were on the road, you would call to her. What was it, Friday nights?
Friday nights, because I could only afford a phone call, and she sent me a little, $5 bill, whatever to call, because we were only making $100 a month. And so then in the latter years, before she passed away, for about 8-10 years, when we got a cell phone, unlimited minutes, I called her every night for years, every night. And we talked, we laughed, and then we always prayed together. We always ended in prayer. And she was my great inspiration. And she was the inspiration to you kids.
Yes.
She loved you kids. She loved she has 150, I think, close in the family. But she loved those 120, 130. Every one of us, she made feel special, like we were the only ones there, because she just had that gift of that. And when we were getting ready to move here, I remember thinking, oh, I need to, the perfectionism came on me, like, oh man, I got to make sure that, set the table just so, and not overly, but, the dishes, blah, blah, blah. And the kids, all you kids said to me, Mom, we just want to come together. Your home is a home of peace. We want to just come in. Mother, bring out the paper plates. I don't care. We don't want to spend all the time in the kitchen. We want to spend time visiting and being together because of your schedule. So this is what we call the gathering place. And this I always want, if there's ever a problem, you come home and it's a safe place to come to us and the Father.
Yes. When we would go home from the road, when we were out on the road, we knew that when we came back to Sisseton, every day at 4 o'clock, you would go to your mom's house. Every single day. This kind of ties in with what you're saying about sitting at the table. You would sit at her table and have coffee with her and just connect with her as mothers, as women, like as adults, and then as a child to your mother as well. Sometimes you're hurting, sometimes you need prayer, sometimes you need advice. And you have instilled that in us. We like to just pop over and, get our coffee going. And
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. We love it.
Yes.
We love it.
I'll say.
When you pull in, it's
There.
just great. You know what? There's nothing like family. And you girls and Donovan have literally made our lives. I want to thank you for the honor and the respect that we always feel.
Yes.
You're always treating us like a king and a queen.
we love you.
We love our
So
mom.
good.
We're here to honor you, Mom, especially for Mother's Day. We are so
Yeah.
thankful that we've had just this time to reminisce with you, ask you questions today, and want to thank you for your legacy to the family.
So let me ask you a question. What will each of you remember the most about me?
Oh, fairness, consistency, prayer,
Prayer.
laughter, always being a listening ear. There hasn't been a time I've sent a text or I haven't picked up the phone to call you that you've not been right there, right immediately to answer questions for me, guiding me with my own kids. The first question that I always was in panic with when I had Dante and Mayana was, what would Mom do? So I'd pick up the phone and call you. You've always been an open book. You've always been consistent. And you've always been just that godly mother to look up to.
Oh, thank you.
The
I don't take that lightly. I just, as a parent, you, LaDawn, you hope that you're instilling a legacy. You're leaving something that your children will build on.
Absolutely, and you've left that for us, so thank you for that. We're learning through you every day. Every time that we speak with you and we spend time with you, that's what's so special about being all here in Nashville, is that we can be together.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I know that you guys get up early in the mornings and pray for us first thing, which means a lot to us,
Yes.
right off the bat. Before we even are out of bed, you've been praying for an hour for the families, for the office staff, for your partners, and for just everybody's extended families. And, we really appreciate that, because right now everybody needs so much prayer. We're going through this time of people not working, people losing their jobs, their homes, with all this COVID going on, it's just really tough on people, and they're having these massive breakdowns, and people living with each other. This is what I thought was interesting. You talk about going on the road and you're living with these families on a bus 45 foot long, and you think about people that are going through this year and a half of COVID, where they're learning to live with their mate for the first time, because everybody leaves, goes to work, kids are going to school, and nobody communicates. And when they come back, the kids go to the room, either the mother's still working, the husband comes in late from the office, and then all of a sudden, and everybody just eats on their own. And then all of a sudden, everybody's working out the same space. And it can be really frustrating, because it's just too much. It's overwhelming for people, So.
It is. And all three of you kids are great encouragers. I listen to you when you talk about, I listen more than you know I listen. When you tell me about your day, you and LaShawn, LaDawn, and Donovan, when you meet people, you're online or on the phone or on your jobs, and you're telling me how you're encouraging them. And because people, we have God, we have hope, but a lot of these people don't have any of that. And by you living your life, you're giving hope to them, and always staying sensitive. And you kids have been such a help. I didn't know we was gonna start falling apart at this age. I think, we're gonna be 77 to 78. But you kids come over, you take us to our doctor appointments, you bring food, you bring goodies, you take us to where we need to go. And Donovan comes over and he mows our lawn and fixes the things that we don't know how to fix, because we're not tech, and you kids are all tech, and you help us get all this stuff figured out. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
But it means a lot to me to see my siblings,
Yes.
We don't even know that the other one's at the house. It's almost a competition. What are you doing at mom and dad's? I'm coming over to mom and dad's. I brought mom and dad this, and Donovan's, doing this. And so it's just really sweet to see the family pull together.
Yes.
And just want to be with each other, because we're learning, you guys, now. I mean, we were all on the road together, then we all left and did our own things. Everybody went their separate ways. And then we really didn't know you as people till you basically moved back to Nashville. We would see you at Christmas, maybe once here, but for our lives and our schedules and work schedules, we really never got to see each other much, because you were on the road, I was on the road, Donovan was on the road, LaDawn was living in Minneapolis. And so to now all live here and get to know your parents as people instead of just your parents, and understand you as people, as friends that you want to sit down and just
be with.
It's just a whole different thing. And
we only have 2 grandchildren. That's Dante and Mayana.
Yes.
And we had the privilege of having them go with us on the road in the summertime. So that gave us really a special bond, because when you kids were little, you worked all the time. When they came with us, we actually were able to take time, because, we just took time. And so now we have 2 great-grandchildren, little Nova and Taryn, and they're beautiful grandchildren. And so here's Dante and Mayana, and what a joy for our family. And I always say, we're not a perfect family, but you try to get after one? Are you going to come after the mama bear's children? You are in trouble, because we are all there for each other to protect and uphold. And God is our source. He is the head of our home. He is that's where our heart is with God. And he's the one who's brought us together. He's the one who can keep us together.
That's right.
And I enjoy going to church with you. Being able to, when I'm home on a Sunday, being able to go to a church.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
COVID kind of shot a hole in that, but we're getting back into that again.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful.
And I also wanted to say that the reason Donovan isn't on this is because he's working today.
Yes.
And we only had everybody's schedules. Today was like the only day we could really do this. So I just wanted to say that Donovan wanted to be here, but he's working and he couldn't get out of it. So
Somebody's got to work.
somebody has to work.
Yes.
That picture that Marnie put up with you in the ring, the boxing ring.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention that when we were on the road, things were so tense all the time. And Dad was always known as the joker, somebody to keep things light. But you, after you went through this thing in Georgia, came back a whole new person. And then you just started keeping things light. And those are pictures. And because you always try to make sure that people would laugh and have a good time, just keep it light and entertained, because the tension would get so thick. You were just trying to keep people. There you go. What happened there, Dad?
I learned how to say yes, ma'am.
No, what happened? What happened? You got a black eye how?
Something I got hit in the face somehow.
And it wasn't even me.
I was
I
going to
let that go to waste.
I wasn't going to let that go to waste. Never do that.
say, good
There's
fun.
always a place for it.
So let's get back to what we'd asked you, your legacy, Mom. We know what we think of you and how much we love you, but I mean, what do you want to be known for?
I want to be known for someone who loves God with her whole heart, who has been blessed with the world's best husband and the greatest children, the greatest 2 daughters, and son and grandchildren, great-grandchildren. And I want them as a legacy that when they think of me, they think of Jesus. And they'll say, you know what? We all want to be with Mom and Dad in heaven. We don't want anything to separate us. That's my legacy. You know, Grandma, what was her favorite verse? As for me and my house, and I have her plaque downstairs as you come in the house.
Mm-hmm.
As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord.
Yes.
Grandma Julie had that. And from the time I was little, from the time we first came to Christ, she would say this, and she was soft spoken, but she would say this verse over and over. And she would say, remember, as for me and my house,
Yes.
we will serve the Lord. She didn't say we might, we can, maybe. We will. And that's our prayer, that as a family, we will serve the Lord. Amen. Yes. Now, you know, the family is expanding and time is going on, and we love Nicole and Donovan's Nicole and her son, Albert, and they've become part of our family. So the family keeps growing, and you keep adding people in, and you fit them in like a little puzzle. You know, you have the little deal in the restaurants where there's just one little spot that's missing to make it all one word or whatever it is, a picture. And that's what life is. Each time someone new comes into your family, or that, you're moving the little pieces around, because we're all different personalities. We all have different likes and dislikes, but we all love each other. And when we get together, it's really special.
Thanks for letting us honor you today, Mom. We love you. Happy Mother's Day. And to all mothers that are joining us today, happy Mother's Day.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
What an incredibly special time we just had together as we listened to LaShawn and LaDawn share some incredible honor and respect towards their parents, and just really remembering the impact that their mom and dad have made during their time on the road, and the different things that they're going to carry with them the rest of their lives. they live their lives, and truly such a beautiful time together. Thank you so much for joining us. I will have this posted by the end of the day on www.larrylundstromministries.org. Click the CC Live banner, and you'll be able to access that and share it with friends, share it with family, and really take some of the incredible nuggets that they shared in and apply them to our own lives. And have a great day.
About 50 years ago in South Dakota, the Lundstroms knelt in prayer to God one night. There the Savior sent us with a message that we should sing about eternal life. We've been rolling down that long, lonesome highway, traveling to help our fellow man. And we'll keep traveling on, singing a happy song until we hear God's call to glory land. We've met a lot of friends in all our travels.
We're so blessed.
We know their prayers have helped us stay alive.
And we're so thankful.
So if you ever feel impressed to mention my name, then you know it's my turn to drive. We've been rolling down that long, lonesome highway, traveling